of a big day, huh?
Somewhat.
Sort of a big day. Legitimately made history. 900 kilos.
Yes, sir.
Is this everything you guys wanted?
I'll let Coach speak first.
Absolutely. I mean, we set this goal for ourselves like 8.5 months ago after Raleigh. You know, we knew what we were capable of, and then, you know, it was all about just translating what we did in the gym to the platform.
I definitely agree. As you know, I did 900 in the gym.
Yeah.
And ever since that day, all I knew is that I didn't have to get stronger. I just had to put it all together on the platform, execute comp standard against adversary, because I knew big guys were coming. Atwood, Delaney, all those guys right there. So I knew I had the strength, but executing is a whole different issue, you know? Anyone can do it in the gym, but gym numbers don't matter. It matters what you do to standard with those bright lights, with the pressure on. And yeah, I was so excited. I'm still in shock, like I said.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is everything that I hope for and more.
We're going to get into the day, but leading into this, yeah, for sure, there was tons of hype. 900 kilos is getting batted around. And to a lot of people's estimation, you could take 900 kilos, but it would depend on if pressed, secure the win. Is it overly ambitious?
Yep.
In your guys' mind's eye, was 900 kilos always going to be, or what was your game plan?
All right, so the initial plan, when we talked about it, is just to win, right? But in the back of my mind, I knew if I won with like, you know, an 885, 890, I wouldn't be satisfied, because I did 900, and I was talking about 900 on the podcast, in my stories, in the captions, in the comment section. I was talking about it everywhere, right? So I knew 900, or first of all, winning and solidifying the 900 would truly encompass the entire image of what I wanted to do. So we talked about it, and in the back of our mind, we're like, we go 3 for 3 on squat, 3 for 3 on bench. Going into deadlifts, we're gonna change the opener, secure the total to beat Russ. So get that off the table first, because we have to beat Russ's total to get to Worlds. So that was step one. So we bumped up the total, or bumped up the opener, broke the world record total, punched our ticket right there, and now all we had to do was close out the meet. And I knew no one had 900 on the day but myself. So a 22 kilo jump to the 900, obviously I thought it was there. Clearly I thought it was there. Coach right here thought it was there.
Yep.
And off the speed of the second, I thought it was almost like it was set in stone, right? So I basically had to, you know, take what was there, because it was on the table. All I had to do was execute. So I just did what I had to do.
We'll get into, we'll walk through squats, bench, deads, and we'll talk about the second attempt, and then the response from Taylor and Atwood and all the drama, and oh my gosh, for a second there. But you're right, in the 900 talk, it was on all the podcasts, it's on your captions, it's on the podcast with you, the previous shows, and it even made its way into the script for the intro. I don't know if you've seen a live stream yet.
I rewatched it, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't sleep last night, so
Fair enough. That's
I rewatched the whole thing, yeah.
So in the script they wrote, and I'm reading like, fuck, we're doing this, huh?
Oh, you had an actual script?
I had a script.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was thinking myself, like, they want me to say 900. In the back of my mind, we're putting a lot of pressure on Joey.
That's fine.
But it's literally, it was like an expectation level, which is insane. We're talking about 900 like this.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right. You speak it into existence, and somehow, when you're bold enough to do this and call your shot, like Babe Ruth when he pointed out there, swings, hits that home run. If you're brave enough to do that ahead of time, and you fucking go and you hit it, and you actually get that home run where it's 900, crazy. However, when you get that bold, when you say 900 that much times, and it literally makes its way into SPD's writing the script saying, yeah, we're gonna mention 900. It's now on the table. If you won with less than 900, haters are gonna say, yeah, but
That's what I'm saying. I had to do it.
So did you enjoy that pressure to make you step up? Was it like another level that you wanted?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, having that pressure just makes you a better lifter, at least for myself, right? I know I have to get my calories in. I know I have to get my steps in, my mobility, my sleep. So if I don't have that pressure, I don't know if I would have performed up to the level I was, but I think Russ said this. I think I said this in previous podcasts. Pressure is a privilege. And I'm just fortunate to be in the position to have that pressure on me. And this is similar to to the Raleigh meet where I was like 860 is not enough.
That's right.
I said that right when I moved up. I was like 860 is not enough. Right
Yeah.
after I rusted his total. Clearly it wasn't enough. I did 865. Same thing here. I knew 900 was there. All I had to do was execute, and I'm confident in my ability to do so. And I got this mastermind behind me calling the shots. So I'll let him talk about it for a little bit. But yeah, with him by my side, with my own confidence, and with God, I know I can accomplish anything.
It's okay. Right before I throw it to you, because I do want to get your impression. If you're like, hey Joey, what the fuck, man?
No, he's the man. He's the man. He deserves all the spotlight.
But it reminds me, this is a big comparison, but the reason why when Ali first came through in the 60s, before him, nobody would do this shit. But he started saying, like, he was 6-1 underdog against Sonny Liston. He's like, I'm going to take him out in 4 rounds. You know, 4 rounds, like, what the fuck? And he takes him out in 4 rounds, right? He would do shit like this where it's like, don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. Same numbers, same specific. And there's been a lot of powerlifters, they openly talk about they don't like the pressure. Some people burn out young, bounce, being like it's too much. Some people like, I don't like doing these interviews and shit like that. It's too much pressure. They actually aren't used to it as athletes, and powerlifting, we're somewhat new to these podcasts, media, etc. For you to lean into it, not only be open to these live podcasts, 1 hour sleep, let's rock and roll. God bless.
Maybe an hour and a half.
90 minutes. But also to be like, yes, I got a murderer's row of 83s. Oh, by the way, let's amp it up a little, 900. And you say it over and over and over to be like, all right, bet you don't hit 900, we have something on you. You know, good, make it that. That's nobody else has done that in this Nationals or last year's Worlds or in a long time.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's going to make you stand out. You lived up. So anyways, that's an Ali comparison. That's a big
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Now, my man, what were your thoughts? Honestly, I'm sure, I know you got confidence in him, obviously. But on you on the day you're handling, what were you telling yourself?
You know, I mean, I've been watching Joey's training for the last over 4 years now. So, I mean, to say I have confidence in Joey is kind of an understatement. You know, we've been doing this thing for so long, and I mean, we just have, you know, I had the utmost confidence in him to execute. You know, I think over the last 4 meets, Joey's missed 1 lift that I've been handling him at.
What?
And
That's a crazy stat.
I told him not to lift it because he had a broken back. It was the Arnold last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd already secured the win, but then I think he went out there and tried like.
Anyway, it doesn't count. It's like I missed the 400 kilo deadlift.
Yeah.
It's not really a miss. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. So basically, we've never missed an attempt.
Asterisks on that stat.
Yeah, that doesn't count. We
Talk about,
flawless.
we're a little bit of statistician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mathematics out here.
That's right.
A little bit. He's an actual scholar, not
That's
a.
right.
But yeah, no, it was insane. I mean, when you going back to like the pressure aspect of it, I feel like when you say, I mean, you got to speak it into existence first, right? And so if you constantly hear it, then it sort of becomes real in your head before you actually hit the platform. And so I think that is kind of needed before stepping onto the platform to get your mind ready for what's actually going to come.
Well, it was real because we did it in the gym first.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we already had it in the back pocket.
Fair enough. But again, it's brave as shit because you didn't do it on the platform yet. Again, all right, this is the last Ali comparison. This is huge. But he straight up said, as a contender, they called him the Louisville Lip. He's from Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Before he became the greatest, he was just a contender. Like before you won a title, you're just a contender. And he said over and over and over, I am the greatest, I am the greatest. You know, he's the guy who made that popular. And he, afterwards, years later on in life, he's like, I said I was the greatest before I even knew I was. But then I told everybody over and over and over like an affirmation, and then I backed myself in the corner like I have to fucking do this.
Yeah.
I don't have. There's no way out. I painted myself into a corner. But it's expectations and pressure that you're painting onto yourself, though. So come the day. First off, you're way bigger in person.
Thank you. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Way bigger in person. No, there's other people saying it back there too, like Joey. B
Wait,
is
Jack or tall? Which one? Definitely not height.
thick, no, you're thick as shit. You're super thick. So a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that. So, anyways, so making weight. How was that in terms of where was your body weight at, and did you have to cut?
So 2 months ago, so maybe a month ago, so throughout that entire stretch, I was around 83 to 83.5. And coach over here convinced me to bulk. So we upped the calories, 3,600. For for the last like stretch, the last block basically. So I bulked into the meet. Body weight got as high as like 84.6, maybe 0.7. And then I held that till the week out. Did a small gut cut. I was still able to eat like one real meal at Chipotle. Chipotle was my go-to meal for the last 4 days.
Shout out Chipotle.
Yeah.
We got a promo code.
There we go. But I basically didn't. I took out the veggies. I took out like the tomatoes from there. I took out the corn, the beans as well because that's fiber. And that was the only gut cut I did. And then ice cream on top of that, liquid calories. And then the morning of, I weighed in. What was that, like 84.3 or 5 or 6, something around there. I was a kilo and a half over basically. But I had 5.5 hours, right? Because I had a 6 or 4 p.m. weigh-in. So I woke up. First of all, I shit. You know what I mean? Take some laxatives. Yeah, it's a natural one. Don't worry. Nothing too serious.
Yeah.
So I did that. My body weight got down to like 84.3. But I drank some coffee. I had a whole ream of rice cakes. It's like a recomp before the actual recomp, right? So it settles the stomach, gets some quick carbs in me. 100 grams of carbs. And it weighs absolutely nothing because it's straight rice cakes. So I did that, and then I started to spit. Got down to like 83.9. Went to the sauna for 15-20 minutes with my coach. He hopped in there with me, and I was probably like 83.5. I was around an hour out. I spit the other half kilo, weighed in at 82.91. So yeah, the cut wasn't too hard. Just a lot of spitting, a little bit of sauna. Only, like I said, 15 minutes at most, maybe 20, and that was enough to get me down. But yeah, I bulked into the meet. Because I wanted to be at that surplus. I wanted to be a little bit bigger because, spitting a kilo and a half isn't really detrimental because all you got to do is, drink a bottle of water. Boom, it's already there. You know what I mean? But yeah, coach is, he was a real man to hop in there with me. It wasn't really suffering though. He wasn't spitting with me either. It was just the sauna.
Should have been spitting.
I know, right? He really suffered.
That's right. But look at first off, that's a fuckload of spit.
Yeah. Well,
That's a lot of spit.
It was
before the Arnold though, when I was 75, I spit, I think 2 kilos. And
That's it?
my tongue was raw. My teeth felt brittle. It felt so bad.
2 kilos of spit.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was bottles of water worth.
That's
I
crazy.
keep emptying my bottles out.
Wow.
And I like it more than sauning because sauning, I feel like my life is being drained out of my body. But spitting is just like, it's passive. I can watch a show, just spit. I can drive, spit. I can be in the sauna and drive. I can be in the sauna and watch something. My phone's gonna overheat. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's in my opinion, it's the least fatiguing, least taxing, and I basically time it so that I'm only sub 83 or whatever weight class I'm under. I'm basically on the dot right when I step on the scale for that 1, 2, 3 minutes, and then I recomp right then and there. There's no reason to sit at my weight class for a long duration of time.
For sure.
Yeah.
First off, I think you're the only guy who's like scientifically approached spitting to get this happen. This is actually genius. The fact you're like, yeah, but my body weights this, I know I have this much spitting
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
You pay.
Oh, I time it. I time everything. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we do like a 20-minute interval. Well, obviously, the more you spit over time, you're gonna be spitting less and less. You factor that in, right? But we'll do like a 20-minute timer, see how much I can spit down, multiply that by the amount of time we have left, and then we calculate the amount of weight we have.
What?
So yeah, that's what we did yesterday.
Yo, that's what happens when I'm not exaggerating, you're going to school to be a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Like, when you say, like, the expression is literally, come on, guys, it's not brain surgery. My man is a fucking brain surgeon, though. You could do this kind of math, but I swear to God, 100% it's going to be a lot easier than sweating. But I wouldn't suspect that you could actually spit that much. Like, your body would keep producing more if you keep spitting. I wouldn't think you could impact it like that. And you might be the first one. I don't even know if you want this. It's already live. It's already out there.
3 keys for everyone. It's fine. It's fine. I want everyone to level up too.
That's right. No shit. Were you aware of this ahead of time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, before the Arnold last year, I think we cut 4 kilos in 3 days.
It's 4.2 kilos in 3 days.
And then we were back up 4 kilos within like 30 minutes after the recomp.
Damn.
Well, we make sure to weigh ourselves after the recomp to make sure we're at training weight and not just morning weight. So I downed a gallon of water, some bananas, and that's already 11, 12 pounds of mass on me.
That's crazy.
So I was weighing at least 192. Obviously, I was pissing between the recomp as well.
Yeah.
But I was at minimum 192 on that platform itself. And I passed history with like binge eating, so like my stomach has the expansion. I'm used to like forcing the calories in, or in this case the liquid, because it was more Gatorade, more liquid calories. But yeah, I'm definitely used to getting the calories in without a problem.
So you going in the sauna with him? This is the story I was gonna say is Gavin Aiden, who's about to lift tonight. We could talk about later tonight afterwards. But Gavin in Sheffield, his coach Ray jumped in the sauna with him, and they're like gutting it out. The thing is, Gavin, all right, God bless, love the guy. Sometimes he's got to cut some serious weight. So his coach is in this sauna for some serious time, and Gavin sweats like a huge chunk of body weight. His coach in there with him, loyal soldier. Gavin gets out, they hit the venue, Gavin's recomping, and the coach is with him. And as the day's going, his coach is like, God damn, man, my head is bumping. He's like, I feel like shit. Like I'm like, and then the coach is like, I didn't recomp. The coach like, I cut too. He forgot. You don't think about recomping when you're a coach.
No,
You just
absolutely
do it.
not.
And then as the day goes, why do I feel like shit? He goes, I probably also dropped 10 pounds. You know? But did you factor in any recomp yourself?
I mean,
because you don't.
I go into the sauna a lot, actually, you know, at my home gym. So 13 minutes in the sauna is really nothing. You know, I go like 20 minutes at a time. So it really was nothing. I mean, but I'm sure if I spent like 2 hours in there, I definitely wouldn't factor
I
that
will never
in.
do that. Don't worry. That's not part of the schedule anytime soon.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. All right. So you guys get to the venue. I walked around in that back warm-up room ahead of time. And I want to before it all happens. Well, first off, at the weigh-ins, what was it like? Did anybody look like close to death? Was everybody fairly confident? How were you guys feeling?
Well, everyone looked pretty good. No one was spinning. I was the only one back there with the cup spinning.
Oh,
I
really?
was spinning until I got on that scale, just to make sure I was under the weight cap, right? And it worked out in my favor. But yeah, everyone was cool. Dapped everyone up. Saw Taylor, dapped them up. Delaney dapped them up. Nori, everyone.
Taylor's
boys.
dad, did he say anything to you?
Nah, he didn't say nothing to me. He was,
Oh, shit.
he could have been mean mugging or it's just his face. I'm not sure, but he's a serious looking man.
Serious looking man. It's mean,
No,
Mike.
he's nice. He's nice. I talked to him after the meet. He was great.
What he does, Taylor's dad, like he's amazing. I love Taylor's dad, Scotty. But he does do mean mugging, and also like Chris Perez, who like listens to podcasts and like watch like all the Taylor podcasts and KOTL, fan of the sport, and knows like Russ has talked about. Taylor's dad pulled up on Russ like years back and be like, so you're the 83. and like he's known for this, right? And then Chris Perez knew this about Taylor's dad, and Chris like, I knew I made it when like about 6 months back, Taylor's dad made a comment on one of my posts. He's like, fucking made it, man. Taylor's dad recognized me as a threat. This is it, we're on and popping. So anyway, perfect. And afterwards, Taylor's dad be super nice. So when you get to the warm-up room, I walked into the warm-up room. I always, when I'm on commentary, I gotta get back there and get a vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, seeing like, and Russ was there, seeing Delaney Wallace, 2-time world champ, Taylor Atwood, 3-time world champ, greatest powerlifter of our generation, seeing like the returning Sean Noriega, Angelo's back there, Chris Perez back there, freaking everyone back there, yourself, as well as 63s, as well as 69s, crazy tension for myself. And I went into the booth, looked at Amelia, who's doing cool commentary with me, and I'm like, I'm not bullshit. Like, I had like shivers, man. I was like, holy shit, this is about to go down. What did you guys feel like when you're back there in the warm-up room before the battle was about to start?
I was kind of locked in, so
I
you
feel
assess
like-
the vibes.
I feel like once we hit the warm-up room, we kind of like just put our headset on and we're just so focused on ourselves. You know, we really didn't try to let any outside noise affect how we were going to go, how the day was going to plan out. But I feel like having everyone else back there kind of pushed us to, you know, become greater and kind of, you know, exceed our own expectations a little bit.
Did you have any interactions with some of the other lifters?
Yeah, I was talking to the Marcellus crew. I'm close to Marcellus. So I was talking to Perez a little bit, talking to Nori probably the most out of all of them. Dapped up Angelo for a bit, but you know, Angelo's a serious guy when he's in the warm-up room. So his headset was on, he was locked in. Taylor, I didn't really talk to. I talked to him before the weigh-ins, but besides that, not really socialized with him because I knew he was the main opposition. So we can be friends, you know, before the meet, after the meet, but during the meet, it's all serious, it's all business. But yeah, watching him warm up, I was watching his warm-ups for sure. Like he would get the chalk, I would get the chalk, and we were sharing the same chalk bowl. You know what I mean?
Were you in the same chalk bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So every time I saw him do it, I would go and do it as well.
No shit.
But just watching his demeanor, definitely I was basically taking notes, right? Because he's been there, I haven't. He has the resume. I don't. I might have the top end, but that doesn't mean anything until it's done, right?
Right.
And before squats, nothing's happened yet. So just watching how he carries himself, how he warms up, how he's talking to his coaches, how he's talking to his dad, how he's talking to his crew. Definitely, I was able to take that and reflect on myself, and I'm probably gonna take some of those tips and use it for future meets.
See, it's interesting when these kind of things happen. So I know Taylor, but when I walked back there, and I was, giving some people some dabs and how you doing, said hi to you. And when I went over to Taylor, it was a different type of locked in.
Yeah.
And most people, when they see you, it's normal. You get a smile comes on real quick, whatever. He was like dead ass, deadpan,
Yeah.
no smile. And I'm like, holy shit, Taylor is. And then I looked over at Scotty, his dad, and he's like, hell yeah. Yeah, he's like, Taylor's dad could see the expression on my face. Oh shit, Taylor's locked in today. And Taylor's dad saw that expression on my face and was like, yeah. We're on that. We're back in 2021 right now. And that's when I knew, holy shit, we're about to have one here. And apparently you felt the same vibes.
100%. Yeah. Well, because I saw it because I'm usually very talkative. Like you ask my coach, I'm very talkative and I'm almost like joyful in the warm-up room. But after seeing him, I knew I had to check myself. I went to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, I was like, hold up, this is a different type of tension. So I knew I had to lock the fuck in.
Yeah.
Sorry for my language.
Yeah, no, I swear.
Yeah. So after seeing that, I'm not sure if my coach noted. He probably did.
Yeah.
This is the most serious I've ever been, and we can talk about that if you want.
After weigh-ins, Joey gets a little joyful and stuff. I'm on like, dude, you got to eat some food or get your calories in, get your sodium and your water. And he's over there taking pictures and not to hate on that or anything, but sometimes you got to lock in, you got to put the fans and the recognition aside. And I think we did that very appropriately. But yeah, normally Joey's jumping up and around, in the warm-up room, kind of saying hi to everyone. And yesterday was a little bit different. I could tell.
Well, so famously, back when Taylor did his 2021 huge meet, he came on the podcast and talked about, I think it was Bryce Lewis, who had brought cookies and was handing out cookies to people. He's being nice.
Yeah. And
he goes to Taylor, and Taylor's like, I don't want your fucking cookies. He was locked in. He's like, get your fucking cookies out of my face. He was like, what? And it became a meme, the meme of throwing cookies. But he locks in. And guys like Taylor, guys like Russ, they'll do things back there. Purposely, Russ will talk about everything's cool, everything's fine. You're kind of getting ready to squat. And maybe I just walk across your platform. Walk across in front of you when I know you're getting ready to squat. Not a big deal. I'm not going to confront you.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to do that. I'm the main op. And I just did that. And we just see what happens. And just kind of break that shit. Shit. He's fucking with you, but he's not going to stop and whatever. So it's little things. And these guys, certain levels, everything's all good until you run into a Russ or a Taylor. That's why this was a huge experience for you. You ran into a Taylor Ratwood.
I did.
You ran into a Taylor. So the battle's on. You've already recognized, in your mind's eye, Taylor's the main opposition.
I wasn't 100% sure. I thought coming into it, Delaney and Taylor's top end were within 5 keys. I thought they were around 870, maybe to 880. The way Taylor showed up this is why he's the GOAT. You know what I mean? To perform the way he did, to come back the way he did, that's why everyone views him in such high regard. So I was not expecting his top end to be that high. So I thought Delaney and him were neck and neck. But as the day went on, clearly Taylor was the main op on the day. So
Yeah, things got spicy near the end. Was that your impression as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can ask Joey. He thought I was crazy, but I had Taylor going 880, 885 at least. I mean, the thing about Taylor is he never shows his top ends, so you never know what you're going to get on meet day. But I knew that, when he opened up with his openers and, his forecasted total, I think, was around 10 kilos less than us, we knew we were in for a fight on the day.
Let's walk through the day, because at a certain point, you guys were literally in the forecasted, I don't know if you know this, 2 kilos apart.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, we're watching it.
Okay.
We're watching it.
Yeah. It, I know for sure you were, not all athletes do, but it was, and this one made a great viewing. It had to happen like this. So squats get underway. In terms of the squat session, walk me through your squats, how you felt, and then let's talk about any surprises in other people's squats.
So, look, inside info, it wasn't public. I strained my adductor around 4 weeks out. I did it right after my week 4 last block, and it was lingering all the way up until now. I had to adjust my squat stance on my secondary days. I didn't post it, obviously, but I was squatting like closer than shoulder width, and I'm a wide squatter, as you can tell. So I was only able to do 1 set of wide set squats a week, and that was my top set of my primary, and that was it. But as the weeks went on, I was able to get 2 sets in, 3 sets in, and then on the final week, I was during the taper week, basically, that was the first time I was able to squat wide, somewhat comfortable. And then on the day, meet day happens, rolls around, pop some ibuprofen, pop some Tylenol. The hype's going, the adrenaline's going, caffeine's in me. And I basically, I felt it a little bit, but it was just a feeling. It wasn't discomfort. It wasn't pain. If I were to measure it out of 10, 0.1 out of 10, you know what I mean? Very, very low. Like I said, just felt it. So I knew since that subsided, mainly, I was going to be on. And I knew it didn't affect my strength. I was worried that it might snap under the load. Well, that was something I was scared about because that happened to my back at Junior Nationals.
Exactly it.
My back subsided, the pain, like every week got better on meet day. I barely felt it. I felt it, but no discomfort. I sink my squat real low, boom, back snaps. But I think the reason I didn't injure myself, my adductor, is because I was sinking my squats every single squat day of prep. So my body was already used to that range of motion. It wasn't foreign. So I was able to sink my squats in the warm room, felt barely any discomfort. Like I said, I just felt it, no pain, no nothing. And ever since that warm up, or just squatting a plate, I knew I was going to be on, and I was just praying that, like I said, it didn't snap on me. God is good; He kept me safe. But yeah, definitely a humbling experience to prep with an injury.
And were you watching the other lifters as you're squatting in between as well, or no?
Just Atwood. Yeah, just Atwood.
Just Atwood.
Just
Okay.
Atwood, yeah.
And what was your impression of Atwood's squatting session?
Wait, his warm up or on the platform?
Let's go through it all, maybe.
Warm-ups, I felt like they were a little unconventional. They were very small jumps. I think they were, at least. I was looking back. I'll see like 3 reds, a white, and a black. I'm like, okay. I usually go 1, 2, 3, 4, but like I don't know how he was making the jumps. Maybe it was a percent calculation-wise or something. But yeah, I was watching like his last warm-up, smoked it. I was like, oh, he's on. And then obviously the opener, we all saw that, and then ended up squatting 17, right?
Right.
Which is his best was 306, 303. What was that?
No, it was 303.
That was the all-time record at the time in 2021. So after seeing that 317, cause I thought his top end was 310. Personally, I was like, I'm gonna be within 5 keys. Okay, maybe 312. I'll give him 312, 7.5 keys at most. I have the bigger bench. I still have a couple kilos of wiggle room, right? But after seeing that 317, that wasn't even all out. Like he had another 2.5, maybe 5. I was like, oh, I'm in for it today. But yeah, I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked at how easy and confident he looked with that weight. Yeah, it was greatness in person to see that.
So I don't know if could you pay attention to the crowd at the time or no?
After my lift, I would. Yeah.
Okay. Because there were certain points where Russell Orhe was actually in the front row during the squat session. Several times when you fellas were loading up in the thirds, he took to his feet.
Oh, he probably didn't watch my squat. He didn't care about my squat's too low. he looked at Delaney's and Taylor's. My 305, man. He's not looking at it.
He was leading in. It was interesting. A great squat session. So to your point, you hit all 3, looked strong, looked solid. Taylor shocked people going like just a stitch under 700. Let's round up. It's like 699.9.
Yeah.
700 pounds. Same impression as you. Holy shit. Haven't seen this from Taylor. Yeah. Delaney missed his 3rd squat. I think they slightly overshot. They did 320. He probably had 317.5. Ain't mad at the attempt selection. It was a fight. You got to go all in. Sean Noriega goes 3 for 3. Looks incredibly strong. Angelo hits 320. Massive squat for him. What was your impression of the squat session after that?
Yeah, obviously, just like Joey said, seeing Taylor squat 700 with, that much efficiency and speed, it was definitely took me back a little bit. But I knew that, we had to keep it within around 10 kilos going into the deadlift, and we pretty much did that. I think it was around 10.5 kilos going into the deadlift. But we knew that our deadlift would separate us from everybody else. So I think our mojo, or, our mentality going into squats was just to go 3 for 3, put something up on the board that's going to, keep it competitive in the subtotal. And then just once deadlift hits, we kind of break away. and yeah, secure the 900.
So besides Taylor, anybody else surprised you in the squats?
Definitely Angelo with that
Huge.
320.
Yeah.
It was huge, and then also Sean. I mean, putting
Yes.
together 3 for 3 on squat. You
Yeah.
rarely see that, especially at a national level meet. I thought that was really awesome.
He leveled up. Here's the thing. Okay, so Angelo, I'd seen his 320 in prep. And on commentary, I was like, I think he's, after his second, which was 305, I said he'll probably go 320, probably should go 320 because I've seen him do it. And Amelia's like, whoa, like that's big. He went 320, nailed it. Also, like good for him, but I seen it. But Sean started, like, he was well above a previous what he had done. And his previous was 850. So as long as, and this is a good segue here, in bench press, as long as his bench held up, what are we going to get from Sean? Interesting. Maybe a podium threat. But Sean surprised me. A hell of a day by Sean. Delaney, just a stitch of an overreach, missed. And we'll see where the hell that leaves him. People are going to miss so along the way, which is where takes us into the bench press. So, you guys, you got a monster bench press.
Thank you.
Walk me through your bench press. Walk me through your guys' impression of Taylor's bench press, which, holy shit, it moved up with them. And then we'll talk about everyone else.
Yeah, so after this, okay, so backtrack a little bit. In training, I do primary SBDs. I have tops at a squat. I have 3 back downs that are all pretty intense. So going into bench, I already have some, built up fatigue from the squat session. So by being able to move a 305 squat that good, that smooth, it wasn't an all out effort. I probably had 2.5 more, maybe 5 at most. So being able to move that easily, I knew I saved some gas. So I go into bench, I'm warming up on the sky pad, these new Eleiko sky pads. Feels insane. Like, they feel better, honestly, than the Rogue pad, the Rogue competition ones. I usually train on the TSS. TSS pads are great, but it doesn't hold a candle, honestly, to these sky pads.
Really?
Yeah, I benched, I've held 220 in my hands before, twice. Failed the first time, a couple blocks later, ended up executing it. Not to comp standard, but I still, put it down to my chest, paused it for a quick sec, locked it out. So I had the confidence that I was like, okay, I have 220 in my hands. And since then, I knew I got stronger. So I was like, okay, my top end might be 220. After benching on that sky pad, after warming up, I told coach, I was like, all right, up the opener 2.5.
Wow.
So we opened 202. We're going to go 200, 210.5, and then somewhere around 215, if I could, 218. I opened up with 202 instead because I knew my bench was on. We ended up going what in the second? 211?
212.
212. Okay. More than I thought.
Yep.
So I knew my bench was on after the opener. Clearly, you saw the confidence before the bench and after the bench.
Yeah.
I knew I was on. Told him to load it up. And then I saw Taylor benching. I was like, okay, we just gotta stay ahead. I can't lose kilos right now. I knew I probably had more than 218, but I thought 218 was comfortable enough not to risk anything. Keep calm standard, keep my ass on, keep my feet glued down, listen to the commands. And I knew I had that, so I want to play it safe, secure that, and just stay in the lead on bench. And that's what we ended up doing, and I don't regret the decision.
Did you anticipate? Okay, go ahead.
So there's a little bit of a story that I want to preface after that. But so we made the decision, like Joey said, to increase our bench opener 2.5. And we were not aware that Taylor's team was also thinking the exact same thing.
Oh,
So
shit.
I go up to change Joey's attempt, and right before that, I see Taylor's coach put in 197.5 from 195 for Taylor. And so I'm just like, oh man, they're really trying to, stack the kilos on us. And so I thought that it was a great decision by us to, load an extra 2.5 on the opener. It eventually panned out.
100%. So Taylor, you and Taylor both batted back and forth the bench record. Were you guys anticipating that, or was this a bit of a shock that Taylor's bench would come up like that?
I thought it was a shock. I had Taylor's bench, right around probably 210. And like when I saw that his initial opener was 195, I thought that's where he would finish up. And especially in training with him, training on the road. You can call it a fat pad, I don't know, but we thought that his bench would suffer a little bit more on meet day just because of that variable. And obviously it didn't. His bench showed up insanely strong. And I overheard Taylor talking to his coach. The coach was like, how do you feel? And Taylor was like, I feel very good. So at that point I was like, all right, we got to really, kick the bench press in for Joey as well.
Are you hearing these kind of conversations between Taylor and his coach as well?
I wasn't. I was locked in with my headphones on.
Okay.
That's my coach's job.
Right,
He's
fair
the
enough.
eavesdropper. He's the eavesdropper.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, the bench session was a bit of a surprise. So you and Taylor go back and forth. Records are falling. A great bench battle. Amazing. Further, Taylor was on. We know he's on. You were on. We know you're on. You two just went 6 for 6, and the battle is super tight. Again, in the projected, around 2 kilos separates you guys, and it's like, holy smokes. Angelo misses his second, misses his third. Moves forward with just opener. Probably out of contention for anything major, but it'll be tough. We'll see what happens. Delaney went 3 for 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Delaney went 3 for 3.
I think 207, right?
So he's solid. He ended up matching his squat PR, matching his bench PR, but he needs to hit, not match, but surpass if he's going to be any major threat. So from my angle, Delaney's no longer threat level to yourself. Are you guys now saying it's Taylor?
Oh, 100%, because I was within, I believe, 5 kilos of Delaney's squat, and then I outbenched him by 10 and a half. So right then and there, my subtotal was already bigger, and I know I pull a lot more than him, so I wasn't looking at him at that point. But like I said, going into the meet, he was for sure on the top of the radar. But after bench, it was just me and Taylor at that point. I'm pretty sure you felt the energy.
100%.
The whole crowd just knew it was me and him going back and forth on the bench records.
Yeah.
That basically solidified the day, and everyone knew deadlifts are going to be like a huge showdown.
So, okay, and then I'll round it a little bit. Sean Noriega, it was a storyline. Coming in, he's got a monster bench press, but if anybody was going to be affected by the bench rule, which he had not had to contend with previously in USAPL, it'd be his bench press. He was out during the women's flight, and to an extent, the bench rule, which is contentious at best, it depends on where the strike zone is, if you will. He was actually, I caught him kind of peeking, seeing where it would be early, and he's a savvy veteran, got all this bench presses in, had a monster bench on him. Did you guys notice Sean Noriega's bench press? What were your thoughts after that session for him?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, I think we were talking about this before the meet, but Sean went from being like having the most massive bench in the 83 kilo class to then kind of moving a little bit more down the ranks. But then I feel like yesterday he kind of assumed that status again of like a really big bencher. And so I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, definitely happy for him for sure, because under a pressured situation, he's had some hiccups in the past, but he leveled up like you said, and definitely like you said. He's savvy. He's a veteran.
Yeah.
He knows what to do. So going out there, looking at the women bench, trying to time that strike zone like you said, that just shows his character, shows how close to detail he is. And yeah, like I said, I'm just more than happy for him.
There's a lot of different storylines in this. One of them is the reemergence of Sean Noriega. So it was exciting to see because he's back. Anyway, so yes, I also agree. After bench press, when the field was initially anyways, let's see, you're obviously the favorite. No, that was pretty commonly understood. But who's going to be the main threat? You can make some arguments here and there. By the time 6 lifts were done bench press, everyone knew it was you and Taylor. Now you go back into the warm-up room for deadlifts. Now there's still fights for the podium. So the battles aren't on with the other gentlemen, but for gold, it's going to be you and Taylor. It's the 5 different now warming up for deadlifts. Now it's understood. And there was question marks around Taylor. If you could believe it, there was actually some podcasts and media put out when they're talking about the 83s, and some people completely omitted mentioning Taylor at all.
Yeah.
And that is extremely surprising, if you could believe it. So at that point, was the vibe a little bit different again?
Yeah, absolutely. But we talked about this, as our warm-ups were going. Deadlift is Joey's lift. It always will be. And so we were super confident. We knew we were going to pull last. Or I guess we kind of didn't pull last because it wasn't our second. But,
Technically speaking,
we knew we had all of the power and all of the momentum on deadlift just because it was our lift.
This is when things get a little bit interesting. I want to get you guys' opinions on things. So, all right. You're strong as hell. The battle plan for deadlifts, you're coming out for the very first pull and obviously the second. What was the plan? How did it feel? And then paying attention to Taylor as well.
So the original plan, at least after going 6 for 6, like I said, was to bump that opener. But we didn't want to bump it too soon. I didn't want to go in the day with a 355 opener because I didn't want the other competitors, especially Taylor, to pace higher than what he was at. Because maybe if he saw 355 as the opener, he might have thought I was bluffing, but he might have taken it serious. He might have squat 320. He might have benched 218, relieved himself on deadlift a little bit, and maybe pulled it, right? Because he would needed 360 at that point. So I knew if we want to make him pace where he's at, make him pace a little lower, we needed to have the attempt change. Well, coach knew it as well. We need that attempt change last second, which we did. We ended up doing. So 355. The reason I want 355 instead of like 353 is because when you put all the change on the bar, there's like space between the plates, right? And I knew that they weren't going to tighten as much. And if you look at my 355, the weight's shifting back and forth. So imagine if I had the green, the black, all that little change on there to solidify like an 875, 873 on the second. I knew it'd shift even more, so I wanted a 355 to make sure it was as consolidated as possible, those plates.
Dude, I've never heard anyone talk like that before.
Well, there was a discussion me and my coach had way before.
No kidding.
I was like, even if we take a little more on bench and squat, and all we need is the 871 on the second to solidify, or the opener at this point, to solidify that world spot and pull for the 900 on the second, I knew that the plates would just be too shifty because it happened in training. That's why I failed the 370 double. Because I didn't put the comp collars, I put C collars on, and my plates were shifting back and forth. I misgrooved the first rep, and I gassed myself for the second. And I knew, I was like, if I want to pull something big from now on, I have to make sure the plates are as tight as possible to be as efficient as possible, right? If they're shifting on me with that much load, I'm cooked. There's no way I can, especially with sumo, it's very technically efficient, right? It's you can't shift off the floor and expect to muscle through like a conventional deadlift. So I was like, I'd be better off pulling 355 with the plates more consolidated rather than 352, even though, yes, it's lighter, it's gonna be more rattly, more shifty. I'm gonna gas myself out more, and I don't know if 900 is gonna be on the table after misgrooving a 352, 353. So 355 was the goal. It still ended up shifting, whatever, not as bad as, in the gym. Moved it very, very comfortably. And then on the 377, we told all the spotters and loaders, we're like, yo, crank those collars as much as you can, because if you watch my opener, I dropped the bar and there's like an inch or 2 inches between each plate. They're just rattling everywhere. And I felt it off the floor. So I was like, if I want a total 9, if I want to pull 377, tighten them bitches as much as you can so I can pull this. And, history was made. I did it. And I'm definitely happy my coach told the spotters.
So let's talk about the 377. Because when you loaded it, commentating, watching it live, it's like, holy, we're already here.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure when 900, like initially we were obviously super pressing 900, everybody was. But to do it on your second was bold, super bold. Because if you missed and you see how strong Taylor was, that door's swinging open.
Yeah.
And 377, from the commentating booth, watching it, looked like work. Looked like if you had more, there wasn't a shitload more.
You're right.
So, what did it feel like to you?
It felt like I had maybe five more keys.
Man, that's
A lot of top end. I'm not 100% sure if I could have hit 377 and went out and pulled 5 kilos more. I'm not saying that. But if I took 5 kilos more in that scenario right there, I think I would have gotten it.
okay. So this is pivotal, and that's first off, you're incredibly honest, and I fucking love that. I mean, you're one, so you have nothing. It's easy, man. But so 377, and it makes this more a juicy story for what Taylor's about to do. I think you're 100% right. You would have 5 more kilos right there on that. Mm-hmm. But you had to do that first, and then you would have to come back, do it all over again, plus something. So this is where things get very interesting. As a viewer, having seen 377, totally, we're 100% in agreement. This is what a viewing looked like, and this is what it felt like. So then Taylor is at 876, which first off, initially, I know it would have been like, I wish Russ was here. However, Taylor ends up bypassing Russ's total all time unofficially taking the world record with 876 as well. Like, obviously, you beat that with 900, but Taylor ends up being bigger than Russ's total. Taylor's now nipping at your heels. You're going to pull last, but Taylor puts you in a position. Now the door somewhat swung a little bit. What were your thoughts with 377? What were your thoughts with what Taylor was doing? Because while everyone else was ready in the room in the backup to concede victory and say, fuck it, Joey B, you have this. This is your day. I'm not contending with 900. Taylor and TSG was like, Taylor's going out on his shield. No, young man, I'm going to make you pull your third possibly. And he was loading up. How did you feel about it? What did you think?
You know, that's what makes Taylor kind of special. He always hides his top ends, so you just never know what you're going to get out of him. You know, we were assuming that Taylor was going to hit 367.5 on deadlift for his third to force, you know, us to go 378.5. But man, it was, we knew it would be a tall task, I guess I'll say, and because he's never pulled 800. And so, you know, pulling 367.5 for the first time is, you know, it's a very tall task. So we were confident it would be a fight, and it was, and we were very thankful that he didn't hit it because, yeah, it would have been a grinder to say the least for Joey.
What were your thoughts when he loaded up? I can tell you as a viewer, everybody was off their seat. Everybody was watching, like, holy smokes. And because it's Taylor, you start believing, like, oh my God, is this anyone else? And although for sure he's never pulled 8, but he's also never squatted 7. And he did that earlier. He's also never benched what he did. So it becomes like, I don't know, maybe this is, were you thinking in your head, fuck, should I have done 377? Like, what were you thinking at that point in time yourself?
So he tried to convince me to take more on the second. He wanted, what was it, 378?
I wanted him to go right away, 378.5, just to force Taylor into that 370 mark.
Yeah. I think I would have had it either way, but if he were to total over 900 on the day, and my main goal was to win and total 900, but if he were to go out, pull that 367 and be at that 901 mark, I'm not saying I would have conceded, but I would have been somewhat happy with my own performance anyways.
Right.
I'll technically be the first to do 900 still.
You still would have been.
But yeah, like I watched the review or the preview of his deadlift. I went to the live stream. I kept rewinding it. Me and my coaches analyzing this over and over and over again. And I was just like, maybe 20. But like you said, the day he was having, 700 squat, 216 bench. If anyone were to do it, it would be him right then and there.
Right. Were you like, oh my God.
I was,
What was it like?
my heart was like, all right, maybe 20% chance he got it. That 20% got my gut feeling nauseous. I was like, oh man, like
It's like, you got a 20% chance you're gonna die today. It's like, what? It's still 20%. It's still, yeah, right.
yeah, but I went out to the, not to the front, but I went out to like the side, watching from that side angle, and it felt like time was going in slow motion, you know? I felt my own heart just like coming through my chest.
Like a car crash.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, what's gonna happen? Everyone, I see with their phones out. Everyone's screaming.
Yeah.
Russ is right there on his feet. Everyone just like, it was like silence almost.
Yeah.
And then just watching that moment, watching him wedge, I thought the bar was about to break because I know if Taylor breaks that bar off the floor, it's coming up. Because he's strong at lockout. Like off the floor is where he gets caught. So I'm like, if this comes off the floor, we're fucking cooked.
Get my favorite song ready, because I
was blaring my music already. I already put the baby powder on. I had the liquid chalk on. I was about to chalk on top of that. So the front of my mind, I was like, all right, I'm ready for 378.5. The back of my mind, I was like, he probably, if he guesses, I'm probably cooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't think like that. So I was just trying to keep positive. And I was just praying a little bit, and not praying for his downfall, but just praying for my own, like to recoup my own energy to come out there and pull again if I needed. But thankfully, I didn't have to do that. Not saying I couldn't have pulled 378.5, but it would have been a fight. Anything could happen when you're that heavy of loads, that fatigued with hook grip especially. But yeah, I'm just thankful I didn't have to go back out there.
Like they said, I guess we'll never know. Right? Just leave it at that. Back away. Be like, fuck it. Until next time. But that was literally, I'm glad it all played out the way it did. Because it's far more entertaining, far more exciting. And then when you had 400 lined up. I'm like, that's not a goddamn shit. This is a victory lap. I'm glad you came out. Leave it. No sense coming out for another one. And shook everybody's hand, and there it was. Afterwards, it was like a melee back there for your attention. It's like you won the world championships. You are the number 183 in the world. And the fact that it was Taylor Atwood, Delaney, like that's between the two of them, there's 5 world titles right there. Yeah. How were you feeling now when you realized, oh my gosh, I just won the U.S. Nationals. I just punched my ticket to IPF Worlds. I just defeated some all-time greats. I was the first 83 to hit 900. This is a lot of I justs. How were you feeling?
Definitely still shocks, right? But I knew coming into this meet, this is before I even knew Taylor was going to compete at Nationals. I knew I was going to be the favorite, but I also knew that Worlds is the main priority, so I couldn't just go into this meet and give it my all and just oversee everyone at Worlds. You know, I'm not going to throw any shade, but Russ did that to Jurgens.
Right.
And that was a huge example for myself, so I was like, okay, I know Nationals, it means everything. If I don't win that, I can't go to Worlds. But I knew Worlds meant more. So I came into this prep, gave it my all. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I got to save some juice. Got to save some, extra calories, extra bulking for the World Championship. So that was my main mission. Just come in, solidify the 900 for sure, be the first to ever do it, and just have that under my belt in competition. Now I have it, before I had it in training, but now it's actually official to comp standard. So now confidence is at all-time high. I believe I have the highest top end on the planet. I believe I'm, top 3 lifter on the planet. So yeah, I'm so excited to go to Worlds, but in regards to Nationals, couldn't have been a better day. Super happy what happened. Super glad that Taylor showed out the way he did. Definitely he is the, in my opinion, the second strongest 83 that was ever created.
I mean, by the numbers, he is.
Oh yeah. Well, even let's say Russ he went all out at Sheffield. Mm-hmm. I think Taylor, if he went all out, didn't have to pull for the win, Taylor comes out on top. Taylor beats Ade. Taylor beats Jurgens. So for me to beat the biggest adversary on the planet at Nationals first, it's like a huge sigh of relief going into Worlds, but I still can't overlook the world champ, can't overlook Ade, like I said. Huge up-and-comer, huge potential, crazy deadlift. He might pull last, or Enaharo maybe, we'll see. But yeah, those guys are killers out there, so I'm excited that I was able to, take one step forward, but I got another big step coming.
I have, first off, agree with a lot of points you made there. We'll talk about Worlds in a sec. I love that you made you learned, they say a smart man learns from his mistakes. A really wise man learns from others. And God bless, same thing, Russ will be the first one to tell you, you can't sleep on anyone. He got caught. Yeah. He got caught at Worlds. And for you to recognize, I'm not going to get caught like that. And yes, we'll get into the World Championships and Jurgens, Enaharo, and Ade, whose top end, I don't think we've seen a top end of yet. We haven't seen where Ade's full potential is yet. Very interesting to see. But before we get there, I noticed on when you were leaving, did Russ greet you as you were leaving the platform to congratulate you, like right on? I saw on the stream.
We're in the spot. Yeah. I walked out, down me up, said good shit. Basically, that was the passing of the torch right there. Right. Where you said the baton.
Right.
And yeah, that was a huge significance for myself, especially since I grew up watching these guys. These guys are like huge heroes to myself, because growing up, powerlifting in everyone's eye wasn't like a true sport yet. But I knew it had potential because I saw these rivalries. I saw the battle of the 74s, with Pug, Michael, Perk, Atwood. Atwood reigning on top. Atwood totaling his first 800 kilo total at the same meet I was there when I was 16, 17.
It's crazy.
Fun fact, actually, his first national title, I was in 5th grade.
You saw that? Shit. It's insane.
Yeah, so these guys are like, almost like my heroes growing up in such a small niche sport. Because I left baseball to pursue powerlifting because I wasn't as good at swinging the bat as I am at lifting some weights.
Right.
But yeah, being able to meet these guys in person, battle one of them, get the baton or the torch from the other all on the same day, and battling a 2-time world champion Delaney, it's almost like a dream come true.
What were some of the reach outs? Did you get any interesting reach outs from people? I'm sure your DMs are blowing up.
I haven't checked them all yet. I've seen Jesus DM me. Yeah, the goat in there. Then we got Gustav.
Nice.
I think he's the best 93 on the planet. We'll see today. That crazy battle coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's countless DMs. Perk. I can't even name them all. There's
Michael Jordan.
Imagine. He's the true go. He's the true go right there. But yeah, there's hundreds of people. I have to go back and check the DMs when I get home. But right now, I'm just living in the moment, not trying to be on my phone too much.
Fair enough. Yeah, for sure. And when you go to the World Championships, if I can tell you anything, man, embrace it, live in the moment. It's going to be freaking, it literally lasts this long, man. An athletic prime can last this long. Well, Taylor Atwood's been around in a hot minute. But an athletic prime, sometimes, you got to embrace it all. Going to the World Championships real quick as we wind down the clock here, who do you think is the biggest threats and who do you have your eyes on and feel like could be potential rivalry? Because you had mentioned Russ was over there. I talked about the passing of the baton. Sports-wise, significant. He's Team USA. He's leaving the weight class. And it's cool that he met you on the platform and you guys had that post. That was a really cool picture. And then Jordan, Kobe. And it is kind of like, all right, I'm leaving. It's on you now to carry the flag off into the World Championships and possibly continue this dynasty. But we do have other people out there waiting for you.
Yeah.
Who do you think is threats moving towards the future?
Well, don't forget that actually Russ has a World Games to go to at 83.
Yeah, that's got one more.
So if you can do 900 there, until he goes 93, he is still in opposition. You know what I mean?
That's not fair.
What if he gets a Sheffield wild card? You never know. You see what I mean? We can beat up at Sheffield. Taylor goes, gets the.
Yeah.
You never know. See what happens. But
That's like go.
that's what I'm saying. If we get them all on one platform, that would be like, I think that would break the internet. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of like at Germany itself, I'd say Ade. Ade has the highest top end internationally, outside of myself and Taylor. But Jurns is the world champ. So Jurns has what I want. He has the world title. He has that chip. And that's what, in my opinion, determines greatness. Like for sure, totals matter, opposition matters, but titles reign supreme in my opinion because titles don't expire. You'll always be a world champ once you solidify that. So he's the main person I have to beat first of all. But the person I'm looking out for the most in terms of top end is Ade. Crazy good squat, good bench, insane deadlift, all around, just a good lifter. So it'll be a close battle, but I'm always going to pick myself, and especially since I got this guy behind me.
Right. Well, okay. First off, 100% agree. I think in 20 years when you look back and you talk to people, no one's going to know what the hell you're talking about when you say IPF points, dots. No one's going to know the numbers. We could have 5 guys going 900 in 20 years. But what they will recognize is you're like, yeah, I got 4 world titles. Taylor's got 3 world titles. Delaney's got 2 world. That's when people that'll stand the test of time. That'll stand from every single sport. They don't recognize, they don't know your sport, but they'll know what a world title means. So I agree. You start stacking those, it's a whole nother ballgame. And I know there's enough guys around you that you could talk about, even at this event, and they could tell you how worlds will feel different. Yeah. And they could tell you how sometimes what happens domestically when you go to the World Championships, sometimes the officiating, sometimes there's a lot of intangibles. But you're right. You got a smart guy in your corner. My man, previously I'd asked you and you said you're only coaching Joe. The more and more accomplishments you have with this man, the more and more your DMs are going to start filling up. What's it look like right now?
There's a few from time to time. I feel like my Instagram's not that out there, and I'd like to keep it like that, just so that my DMs don't blow up, like you said. But in the future, obviously I'm going to keep coaching Joe throughout, his whole tenure as a powerlifter. And I intend to keep my coaching roster relatively small, like you said, to about a couple people. I coach my friend as well. But yeah, it's just him and Joe. And
dude, if your friend is like an intermediate and he's like, can you imagine that friend who's like, yeah, I got in at the right time? That's amazing. But anyways, fellas, congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
I love having both of you guys at the podcast at the same time. We did that the first time and it worked out amazing, and this is good. Dog, you lived up to the hype. Not everyone does, and you did. Congratulations, sir. Amazing job as a coach. And I'll see you guys in Germany.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
We'll be back. We got Sleen the Machine and the GOAT himself, Taylor Atwood. Let's get his side of the battle. See you guys in a little bit. Thank Ladies and gentlemen, that was fucking gold. That was gold.
Thanks a lot.